The first movie I ever loved was Disney's Cinderella, and when I was a toddler, I learned to use the VCR so that every day after lunch when I was at my babysitter's house, I could go upstairs and put the movie on without any help. This movie was like everything to me. I used to wear my Cinderella dress almost every single day, and I remember because it had a huge spaghetti stain like right here. And even when I got older and grew out of the dress, I wore my Snow White bow every single day, I think, in kindergarten. And I only stopped because it started getting too small for my head and it would give me a headache. And my entire bedroom was Bambi themed. I just loved these old Disney movies so much. I loved Tangled when it came out and I still love it today. I also loved Frozen when it came out, and now it's kind of like, it's alright. Part of that is just fatigue from how culturally big it was 10 years ago now. Wow. I also really liked Moana and Encanto as well, these newer Disney movies. But would I like these movies better if they were traditional animation? Probably. Traditional animation just has such a place in my heart that I don't think will ever be filled by computer animation. For Disney in particular, the line between Disney and Pixar has begun to be blurred, and I was never a big Pixar person to begin with. I liked Cars and Brave, and then later I liked Meet the Robinsons, but everything else was just kind of like, not for me. Maybe Ratatouille. Ratatouille was alright. I really liked Coco, but I completely forgot that Coco wasn't just a regular Disney movie until I was researching for this video. But like, I always had beef with Finding Nemo because I could not understand why people liked this movie so much. And Monsters, Inc. I do like a lot better now than I did when I was a kid, but it was just, looking at this kind of stuff was like, it was not for me. Computer animation to me just kind of feels impersonal, and it feels like everybody kind of looks the same. You can kind of get away with it in Pixar because a lot of the characters are not human, but in the traditional Disney movies, you can hardly tell them apart. But Gen Z and Gen Alpha grew up with so much overstimulation that these computer graphics and bright colors hold their attention much better than traditional animation. But watching as an adult who grew to love film, I just find so much more joy in watching these older movies. As somebody who is admittedly addicted to their phone, when I'm on it, my mind just kind of shuts off, and it seems like a lot of movies are going for the same effect. You stare at the screen for 2 hours, distracted by bright colors, or you can alternate between the screen and your phone and really not miss a thing. Literally a couple weeks ago, I was so stressed between school and work, and Val Kilmer had just passed, and Passover was coming, and I was like, fuck it, I'm watching The Prince of Egypt. I don't care if I waste time, I'm watching the movie. I hadn't felt that relaxed in weeks. Art was doing what it was made to do, which is make people feel something. I don't think I picked up my phone once, I was just that engaged in the story. But I was a big animal kid growing up. I think that's why I loved Cinderella so much, because she talked to the animals, and like I said, my entire room was Bambi themed, and honestly, it probably still would be, but one day I came home in middle school and my mom had just like changed it. Honestly, I should change it back, it looked a lot nicer. Like, look at this little thing. It's a collectible. But I watched Bambi for the first time maybe since I was like 10 years old, and I never realized just how like beautiful it is. Like the setting shots in old Disney movies. Lilo and Stitch, my beloved, it's just so gorgeous. I still think that The Princess and the Frog is criminally underrated because it was lost in the excitement and the marketability of Tangled and Frozen. But the shots of New Orleans and the bayou and the change in animation when she's singing about her restaurant just make this movie so beautifully unique. And a lot of these computer animated movies just don't have the same effect. A lot of them just follow that same sort of look, and it's more difficult for them to differentiate themselves from other movies. Like when Into the Spider-Verse came out, it quickly became one of my favorite superhero movies ever because the animation literally looked like a comic book, and it was something that nobody else was really doing. And movies like The Bad Guys and Puss in Boots and The Last Wish follow a similar formula. Even Wish tried to tap into this blending of traditional and computer animation, and reportedly the movie wasn't very good, but at least an attempt was made. And like when Rise of the Guardians and How to Train Your Dragon were coming out, computer animation was still being perfected, and it was so captivating and created with care. Literally, when the trailer for the How to Train Your Dragon live action came out, a lot of people were like, oh my gosh, Toothless looks so good. I felt like I was gonna completely crash out because they literally took the same animation from the original movie and just added CGI scales. They didn't even make their own dragon. I don't care how good the animation looks, I don't care how good the cast is, stop giving studios money for being lazy. That goes for the Lilo & Stitch movie that's coming out too. They made the live action How to Train Your Dragon to get people to buy tickets to their new parks in Orlando. That's why they made that movie. They didn't make it for people that love the original movie, they made it to try to sell tickets for a magical theme park. That honestly looks pretty cool and was probably gonna make a lot of money anyway. And like, I love Shrek, but part of the appeal of Shrek is that the animation is just as satire as the story. Everyone was having so much fun making those movies, and it shows. And even if the animation is outdated, it's still going to have cultural relevance because of it. Like, my dad loves Shrek, and I'm telling you, he doesn't love it because it's a story about self-acceptance. He loves the hidden jokes, especially the movie and pop culture references. My favorite one is when Shrek is escaping on donkey in the second movie, and it's literally supposed to be like how O.J. Simpson was escaping on the white Bronco. That's insane, sorry. Or the poster of Sir Justin in Fiona's childhood bedroom, that's a good one too. And watching like the specials as a kid, I didn't really think anything of them, but watching the Shreksorcist now, it was just so funny and stupid that I actually watched it, rewinded, and then watched it again. Anyway, but in the teaser trailer for the new Shrek movie, and even in Puss in Boots and the Last Wish, the characters are back with that sort of 2020 computer animation face. Like, they're not using the animation they used to, which was part of what made Shrek so special. And like I said with Pixar, in Puss in Boots, it was kind of easy to ignore this because the characters were animals, so they still kind of have their own distinct appearance. But now, even like the ogres are like Disney-fied. But in the era of sequels and Boss Babies and brain rot, it seems like the visuals of a movie are more made to be a distraction from the overused plot. And sooner rather than later, these movies are going to be forgettable in a way that the traditionally animated original movies are not. Like, somebody literally went Hamlet, Lions, created one of the most iconic movies of a century. And The Emperor's New Groove was like original brain rot, but it's still beautifully created and deeply personal, and these newer movies are just completely detached from their audience. Like, there's a reason why I can watch these movies as an adult and love them differently than the way I loved them as a kid. These newer movies are much more one-dimensional. Except Studio Ghibli movies, they seem to be going pretty strong. And like I said, I like a lot of the computer animated movies, but it's just very obvious to me when these movies weren't created with the utmost love and respect for animation. I do think that a major part of my gripe in the traditional versus computer animation is that a lot of these newer movies are just not as well made, and they happen to be computer animation, but just on a personal level, I will always prefer hand-drawn animation, specifically the soft beautifulness of the old Disney movies. Bring her back. Disney, you want to recycle everything else, bring her back. I think there are actually rumors that they might go back to traditional art style, but part of that is probably just wishful thinking on my part. Also, I did talk about this like in one of my other videos talking about the cartoon versus the live action, is that these older Disney movies, I just feel like had so much more heart when it came to their songs. Like, I was at work and they just played like Happy playlist on Pandora or whatever, and Friend Like Me came on from the live action Aladdin, and it was soulless? Is that like a way to describe it? And like, I like Will Smith, but I've never watched the movie, and listening to him sing, it just sounds like a song, where if you never watched the original Aladdin, you can still picture all these grand things happening as Robin Williams is singing. Not that a lot of people can compare to Robin Williams, but it's just kind of something I've noticed overall. But that's it for today, guys. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and as always, have a great rest of your day.